Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Dear viewers, today's topic is from class 10th English, that's lesson number 4, A Long Walk to Freedom, Nelson Mandela. Basically, this is a very long chapter, but I have tried to divide it in few important points, like I have written on the board. Basically, this chapter is about Nelson Mandela's struggle for freedom. Struggle from freedom. It shows a struggle from oppression to triumph, showing how courage, sacrifice, and determination can transform a nation. So, basically, if we will give a gist of a chapter, I can say that this is basically a swearing ceremony of Nelson Mandela, and the chapter begins with the very speech he gives on the inauguration ceremony held on 10th May 1994. As far as the historical context is concerned, Mandela reflects on the extraordinary human disaster of apartheid. That is a term basically used for the racial discrimination based on color, creed, and caste. On this day, this ceremony took place on the place that is called Pretoria, and a particular place where it was held, it was an amphitheater formed by the Union Building in Pretoria. For decades, this has been the seat of white supremacy, and now it was the site of a rainbow gathering of different colors and nations for the installation of South Africa's first democratic, non-racial government. So the place itself symbolizes now the power has shifted, and now it has given a great significance, because before this it was a place of white supremacy, but now one of the black leaders is taking oath on that very place. So it becomes very historical for all the people of South Africa. And Mr. Nelson Mandela on that particular day was accompanied by his daughter Zinani. On the podium, Mr. De Klerk was first sworn in as second deputy president, and after that, Thabo Mbeki was sworn in as first deputy president. And then came the turn of the main character of this whole lesson, that is the Nelson Mandela. Then he started his speech, and he was quite overwhelmed by this whole environment going on the Pretoria, on that amphitheater building, because it was really redefining courage, equality for all. And in this speech, he gave tribute to all the freedom fighters who have fought for the South Africa and its freedom. And then he gave names of few freedom fighters and considered them as a great patriots who had gone before him. And he considered himself as a lucky one, that he is fortunate that he is witnessing this victory over racial discrimination. But those who had gone will be always remembered in this whole journey. Then he gave name of those who have sacrificed their lives on the freedom struggle of South Africa. First one was Oliver Tambo, then was Walter Sisulu, then Chief Luthulus, the Yusuf Dadus, the Bram Fishers, Robert Sobukwe. They all have such extraordinary courage, wisdom, and generosity that their like may never be known again. Perhaps it requires depths of oppression to create such heights of character. Then Nelson Mandela says, "My country is rich in minerals and gems that lie beneath its soil, but I have always known that its greatest wealth is its people, finer, truer than the purest diamonds." He wants to say that although the South Africa is famous for the very rare and very precious gems, but for him the most important people of South Africa are those who laid their lives for the freedom struggle against the racial discrimination. He was totally overwhelmed when those military generals and other defense services salute him in front of so many people, and he became so nostalgic because he was considered as an outlaw in South Africa, and he has spent almost about 80 years in this whole process, and most of his life he has spent on imprisonments. So now this is a redefining moment for him, that now these all defense forces, these all defense majors are saluting him. So it was really an emotional and overwhelming for them. And but he always keep going because he had never lose the hope. He always see the ray of humanism, the ray of human goodness in everything. That is the reason that he keeps struggling for the freedom of South Africa for such a long time. He was always, although every man has two obligations in his life, same was the case with the Nelson Mandela, but he gave more importance to the life to more importance to the role as a leader and uh, as a well-wisher for the people of South Africa who are suffering because of the racial discrimination. Then at the end of the speech, he tells us that although I sometimes lose hope in this whole process, but it always keep me going that goodness can never be extinguished. It can be hidden in humans, but it can never be extinguished. And he knew that when the national anthem of both the white and black people were sang on that ceremony, this symbolizes that he gave equal importance to the whites as well as blacks in the country of South Africa, because he believed that I knew that the oppressor must be liberated just surely as the oppressor. This line is very important. It shows that he wants freedom for both oppressed and oppressor, means whites as well as blacks. A man who takes away another man's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. He is locked behind the doors of prejudice and narrow mindedness. I am not truly free if I am taking away someone else's freedom, just sure as surely as I am not free when my freedom is taken from me. The oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity. So he gives a very strong message towards the end of the chapter that both the oppressor and oppressor must be granted the freedom, because person who snatches another person's freedom is a prisoner of hatred. So these are the very important and very deep lines during the oath ceremony of the Nelson Mandela. It was the whole crux of the chapter, and I have highlighted the few important points on the board that the inauguration ceremony held on the 10th May 1994. Historical context is that the Mandela reflects on the extraordinary human disaster of apartheid. Apartheid means racial discrimination. And another important, it is tribute to the all freedom fighters, redefining courage and equality for all. Central theme of the chapter is struggle for freedom, equality, and human dignity. The chapter captures Mandela's journey from oppression to the triumph. So that was all for this chapter, that is Nelson Mandela. I hope you have understood it, and in a very short time I have tried to give a full gist of the chapter. Thank you.